All right, so I'm here outside of Taberna Lupulo in Old San Juan, where I just enjoyed the Resistencia Coconut Hefeweizen from Zurc Bräuhaus in Coamo. Local brewery, good Puerto Rican beer. I'm going to talk with Juan Cruz from Zurc, who created this beer and was generous enough to share some time with me and talk about Resistencia and talk about craft beer in Puerto Rico. So, Juan Cruz de Zurc.
Zurc Bräuhaus. Alles gut.
You're into German beers. What's the story there, just real briefly?
My first craft beer was in Germany. It was the Hefeweizen from Resistencia. Changed my life.
Okay. What had you been drinking before that?
Whiskey. I wasn't a fan of beers until I tried that Hefeweizen.
What's the whole Zurc philosophy of beer, of brewing?
Good question. Zurc philosophy is brewing great beers. It just happens to, a lot of them seems to be German inclined beers because they're lagers. There's something to be said there. The key to long-term, the longevity of any beer styles should be based on the balance of malts and hops. Not too much of one another. They have to be balanced. Germans are great at it.
Yeah.
And so is Belgians. Yeah. Transparency in the craft beer market is a very important thing. Just putting something in a can or a keg and expecting people to drink it, that's not the way to go. You have to be transparent in not only in the ingredients that you use, but also in the enthusiasm that you imply on that which was created.
Then, just recently you made your own Hefeweizen. Is this the first that you made, Resistencia, the first Hefeweizen?
No, it's not the first.
Okay.
When I started Zurc 2 years ago, I did a Hefeweizen. I did it with the president of the Home Brewers Club. At that time was Raymond Perez, a good friend of mine. But the beer, after Hurricane Maria, I ceased to make it. It was only brewed a couple times. Zurc started operations 3 months before Hurricane Maria hit us.
Oh.
It was strong. It was a very difficult time to start up a company.
Yeah.
If you don't have any electricity for 6 months after a hurricane, devastate your island.
Wow.
There was no particular reason why I didn't do the Hefeweizen afterwards, but I wanted to add a tropical flavor to the Hefeweizen I was making, and it seems to me that it made perfect sense to add coconut to a Hefeweizen.
Yeah.
It's perfect. You got the breadiness of wheat with the tropical flavors of coconut, and real coconut, mind you, not extract.
Not an extract.
I add real coconut pulp into the beer. Most of the tropical fruits are not really from here. They came like from Asia, right?
Yeah.
Like tamarind or passion fruit, what we call paicha. But they're not easy to get here. We're in a weird time economically where global transactions seem to be cheaper, more accessible than getting a fruit that could grow here. Yet you have to get it from a company that's in the States but gets it from Costa Rica. It's a weird time, but
yeah.
Even with passion fruit, you probably have to buy it from a company that got it from another country.
Yeah. So let's talk about Resistencia a little bit more. So
Resistencia.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that you have, it was originally called something else, but what's behind the decision to call it Resistencia and to create the label art and everything, promote it the way you've done in the last week?
The original name of the beer was Wolfenweizen. A wolf, a wheat wolf.
Wheat wolf.
as soon as it was launched last year, as soon as I launched the beer, it was a success. But I also find out that another brewery in the States had the name. So definitely the name had to go. And this beer was already in the works a month ago. I just happened to be kegging this beer last Wednesday. Last Wednesday what was the date? Right, 24th. 24th was an epic day in Puerto Rico. It was a manifestation of a town that went through a hurricane, went through a lot of devastation and a lot of stepping on. And Wednesday was epic in a way that a whole people in a planet gathered together to say enough is enough. It wasn't a partisan political move. It was just a manifestation of people wanting respect and owning it while doing it. And I felt it. I was so moved by it that I had that, and impaired with me needing to change the name, that it seemed just right to use what was happening at the moment, and it inspired me to call it Resistance. I'm losing words because I don't want to get choked up on it, but yeah. It was it. Wednesday was the governor quit that day. I checked the beer that same day. The whole project of making a new logo started, and it was called Resistance.
Craft brewers on the island, have faced a lot of challenges, like the excise taxes, like competition with certain bigger breweries. I'm curious what you think about craft brewers, the sort of solidarities that are forming among people, the collaborations. Obviously, Formula 280 was a big collaboration that meant a great deal to a lot of brewers. But I don't know, what sort of potentials do you see emerging from just the community in general of craft beer on the island?
It's a whole new frontier. Puerto Rico as what happened in the last week here, which was historical. The craft beer market, local craft beer market here is still a virgin. It's still on top. It's just 1% of where it should be at 12 of the total beer market. So that means the way that we cohesively work together as local breweries, collaborate. Formula 280 being the first of its kind, it shouldn't be the last. We can create collaborations here that would no doubt set a footprint in a global scale. And even as a bonus, we might create a new beer style for the history books. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Do you have any ideas of what that style might be?
I don't want to spoil the reveal, but it has to be in the lines of what we are here. We're in the tropics. We're in the center of the hemisphere.
Yeah.
It has to be something that would pull everybody together to a new future.
Cool.
All our local craft brewers are experimenting, and they're all finding ways to try to include tropical fruits. And people are loving the products that we're making. A good example is that Berliner Weiss with quenepa, with the pulp of a quenepa, which is a local home fruit. Very difficult to get in the States. Right now, Puerto Rico is the center of the Caribbean craft beer movement.
Yeah.
So we have to continue setting an example on doing high quality craft beer products that would be a match to any international renowned craft beer.